We've got Lynn Woodman here, who is, well, you were here for most of that interview, right,
Yeah,
Lynn?
I was. It was great.
And we're going to use that as a bit of a segue to what you do, because you work with voice and speech and presentations and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And how do you want to segue?
Well, I was so delighted to walk in the middle of this really great conversation, and these guys that you were talking with had so much to contribute. So I can talk about presentation work and voice work and you know, on a very general level. A lot of people do presentation work. Mm-hmm. But what really interests me is to talk about the underbelly of what that work is about. And from my perspective, it is about helping people to communicate their message, articulate their ideas, get their passion across, whatever it is. So very, very stimulating to come into an environment where people are really connected passionately to what they're talking to their heart, and they're talking about issues that are really deeply important to themselves and to society, and they're articulating their message really brilliantly, and they're doing it in a variety of ways. These guys are great. There are so many people who have a lot to say, but they're afraid to say it. They're stuck, they're blocked. And those are the people that I work with.
So are you sort of like a coach?
Yeah.
Is that what?
That is what I am.
You know what you're reminding me of? Because I've taken, because I want to be a rock star, okay?
Hey.
I'll come clean.
Hey.
I want to be a rock star. I've been trying to be a rock star for my whole life, and that's why I had to start this internet TV thingy. But, so I've taken singing lessons, voice lessons, and from two different coaches. One was all about technique. You know, how you use your vocal cords and stuff like that. But the other one was all about connecting to your passion and being able to release, like, nothing about technique. It was all about connecting so that you're singing or you're communicating with passion, with your heart, having your heart speak on your behalf. And it sounds like that's what you do for people that are trying to actually communicate using words and speech.
Yeah, it is what I do. I would actually say that I have a blend of both. I can definitely work on the technical. There are some people that is an issue. For example, I was working with a young actress recently. Lovely young actress, but she was really blocked. She kind of lost the play.
What does that mean?
Well, she was protecting herself, I think, by being very mature. Oh. So she lost a playfulness.
I understand.
And in that losing of
she lost that. She forgot how to her inner child and how to play.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. She had just forgotten that she doesn't have to be in control all the time. So we were starting off doing technical stuff with breathing and connecting to sound, and that was great. She needed to do that. Then we went into a little bit more just coming from a place of passion, exactly what you're talking about, and then connected it back to the technique of, this is very technical stuff, but the bottom line is that she had not accessed her upper register, and so she was pressing her voice down a lot and sounding very in control, and so that's kind of a technical. It's a combination of technical and play. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I know what you're talking about, because you can hear in people's voice. Sometimes, sometimes guys are supposed to have a deep voice, right? So sometimes our guys are talking like they're trying to make their voice deep sounding all the time, right? But it's not natural, and in a way they're losing something when they do that. Is that accurate?
That's exactly right. My favorite example of that is, remember the days of Brian Mulroney, and when because he has a very deep, resonant voice.
Yeah.
But when he was,
I'd like to forget those.
Well, okay, all right, I'm with you on that one, Stella. I am totally with you on that one. And whenever I felt he was trying to pass something off on us, that he would kind of take on that parental, well, now, and then he would press his voice down and become kind of flat.
Because he wanted to drive it home that it was good for us.
Yeah, he was the parent and we were the children. He was making his voice all authoritarian, and it was like, oh, Brian, I don't believe you.
No.
Well, that's why he got the name Lion Brian.
I guess so.
So that's a good point, because really, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but people communicate with their voice, but something that's not in the words. The words are one thing, but the way they use their voice is communicating something else entirely that's nonverbal, that's kind of between the lines.
Yeah, that's the body language of the sound of the voice. There's a cliche. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And there's an element of that being true. I don't believe it's completely true. I do think it's important what you say.
It worked for Mae West.
Well. Oh, she had a lot of... Yes, that's true.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
It isn't
I have one on my website.
What she said, it's how she said it.
It's true. I have one on my a quote from her on my website, which is, "I speak, what is it? I speak body language," but you got to do it with the Mae West thing. I speak body language. She was great. But so it's not what you say; it is how you say it. I've got two. If anybody's interested, check out my website. I've got two very, very funny videos on my blog.
Should we show one?
Oh, sure.
At the end?
Sure, absolutely.
What is the website? And then we'll see if we
the
can pull
website
that up.
is voicepower.ca.
Now, do you teach people to speak from their solar plexus?
Their diaphragm? Do you teach people to use their diaphragm?
I do.
As a birth control tool?
No, I don't go in that direction. I stay away from the birth control tool. But the whole thing about the diaphragm, okay, I'll get just a tiny little bit technical here. It's a misnomer to say that we don't use our diaphragm. We have to use our diaphragm. If we didn't use our diaphragm, we would be dead. It's all about how efficiently you're using it. So yeah, I do. I help people.
Breathing?
Yeah, because when we're not breathing, we're holding our breath. It happens when we're tense. It happens to every single one of us when we're tense. And so what is an occupational hazard of somebody who has to speak publicly, or they're in the spotlight a lot, or somebody who doesn't want to be in the spotlight and they have to be, is this tension comes in, and then people hold their breath. And that disassociates them from their message.
Now, do you find that when people are disconnected like that, and they have to make a speech, does that really stem from fear? And they need to overcome the fear first?
I don't think you ever really overcome the fear. I think it's quite a fearful thing to do, to get up in front of a group of people. But there's things that you can do to help you get through that.
What do you tell them to get over their fear? Get over the thought of, they're going to hate me, whatever.
Well, our bodies, we feel as though, and think about this for yourselves, we feel as though, or have you ever experienced, you feel as though your body is betraying. Your hands are shaking, your stomach's in a knot, and just before you have to do something, you're sweating, your voice cracks, all those things, your body is just like crapping out on you. It's in denial. And what's happening is your brain and your body are disconnected. The whole mind-body thing has happened. So what I work with people on doing is reconnecting to their body, reconnecting to the sensations that are going on in their body. Get out of your head, because it's just your brain going blah, 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 blah. I'm no good, I'm going to fail, I suck, everybody hates me, I'm going to be shot,
Useless
whatever.
mind chatter.
It's all the negative mind chatter. If it was positive mind chatter, there wouldn't be it wouldn't be a problem. But it's typically not. It's negative mind chatter. So, my thing is, if your body was going to take your mind to a psychiatrist and tell on it, what would your body say your mind does? Well, my mind keeps me shackled with these beliefs that I'm no good. My mind makes me stay at my desk too long and work too hard and not take breaks, and I become dehydrated, and I can't, and I'm tight, and I don't exercise, and blah, blah, blah. And now it shuts my body down, and now my body can't support me vocally. And, so I go along that direction. So I work with people to connect to their innate physicality, get out of their heads, get into their bodies.
Do you also tell them, the right ways when speaking in public, what the format they should follow? Yeah,
I do.
What is the formula for when you're in public, to how to speak, and what do you put into it?
It depends on what the purpose of what they're speaking about is. Depends on where they are. There's a million ways to do a presentation. But I believe it's very, very important to connect with your audience emotionally. You got to connect with them on it, because they're going to leave. They're going to leave you mentally.
In 3 seconds?
In 3 seconds, unless you grab them and keep grabbing them and keep reminding them what you're talking about.
So what would you say would be the key to keeping them fixed?
Understand what your message is. That's the first key thing. And understand what your key points are that are going to deliver your message. And your data is there. The body of your presentation is there to support your key message. People just start burping out a bunch of data.
But
yeah,
don't
we've been at those kind of presentations.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, when is this going to be over?
Exactly. Big snooze.
So in order to captivate them and keep them there, I would think that, first of all, you want to get out your message and the data. You want to keep them tuned in and listen, but you also want to make them feel comfortable. So I tend to personally show a little vulnerability or use comedy. Mm-hmm. Do you tell people to open with something like that?
Story.
A personal story, not somebody else's.
It can, yes, it can. It usually is best when it's a personal story or a story that has touched you. Mm-hmm. That we get to that last, but in other words, we work on what you're asking. How do you structure a presentation? How do I go about working with people?
I just want to hold them from the time I get up in front of the podium and speak and say, okay, I'm here, blah, 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 I'm going to talk to you about this. But I want to get their attention. I want them to stay with me. I don't want them to, disassociate and start texting on their thing in about 3 minutes into the speech.
Exactly. So once you know what your message is, once you know what you're going to be talking about, once you get that all cleared up and who you're talking to and all that regular stuff that you have to do, then you find a story that is going to connect to what it is that you're talking, connect to your message. Mm-hmm. So if you start with that story, we all lean into story. Mm-hmm. It's just so natural. Mm-hmm. And the story can be told in many ways. You can tell your story with a video. You could tell your story with a joke if you're good at it. Don't if you're not. Mm-hmm. You can tell your story in a million ways. So I help people figure out how they're going to tell their stories and have the courage to tell the story.
Now, I want to ask you before we maybe follow up on that a little bit more, Lynn, like, how did you get into this? How did you find that this was, the kind of thing that you were able to help people with?
Yeah, that's a great question. Everything stems from my first passion. My first passion was always acting. I came into acting when I was a middle teenager. And like, you want to be a rock star? Mm-hmm. Bar none. That's all I ever wanted to do. I just had a huge appetite for it. And I did everything that most young actors do. I went off to theater school and I took my training and I kept training and going out there, and I am an actor. I am an actor. Interestingly enough, running parallel with my acting career was a teaching career to other actors. And so I've been a voice and movement teacher to young actors for as long as I've been a professional actor. So I decided that that's one way to make a living, and I love doing that. It's a very natural place for me to be. I'm at home when I'm there. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ultimately work with more people. I wanted to work with the business community, entrepreneurs, business professionals, as well as artists. So I started to get myself out there and find out, well, what do these people want? What can I bring them? Mm-hmm. And I was really afraid for a long time, I was really insecure that, I come from an arts background. What do I know about business? And what I've learned is what I have to offer is to help people be authentic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just be yourself. Mm. And that's been a very gratifying experience for me.
Let me ask you about this, because there are people out there, I just know, don't ask anyways, but people who are afraid to be themselves because they don't think that they are good enough, that their voice is good enough, or that they don't look good enough, and they're afraid to be themselves. They feel they need to be someone else, or to to do something different than what is natural to them. Can you, like, what do you tell a person when they come to you with that kind of attitude?
With a self-worth issue.
Well, worthiness issues constantly come up for all of us. It's human. I think I'm a very human person. I think that one of my strengths is that I'm very human and warm. That helps people right away. So it's not that I necessarily tell them anything. Mm-hmm. I will let them see for themselves. So I may videotape them doing a presentation, and we'll sit and we'll look at the videotape together as though they don't know that person. I'll try to help them be as objective as they possibly can. So they're seeing that person for the first time and ask them, what are you seeing? And people are pretty good at picking up.
Mm-hmm. Little nuances and subtleties.
And their behaviors that are taking them away from...
Or tell signs and that sort of thing.
Because they know from the inside, so they can see it.
And you do get a whole different objectivity when you watch yourself on camera for the first time.
Yeah, you do.
And you critique yourself more too. And you think, oh, I don't want to do that again. Or, yeah, I like that. Maybe I should have done this.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing.
I help people not being too hard on themselves. I give them 30 seconds to hate their hair, hate their nose, hate their face, because we all do. I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, and then we go past that so we can get into
the meat
what
and
are the
potatoes.
communication behaviors. And some people have been so trained in the wrong, unnaturally. Oh, you're not supposed to move your hands too much when you talk. I think, why? Mm-hmm. Why are you not supposed to move who told you that, and why? It's a very natural thing. If it's natural to you to gesture, then gesture.
Yes, because there's certain types of personalities. There's alpha, right?
Yeah.
And people who use their hands naturally, it comes naturally to them. Why not incorporate the hands in what they're trying to convey?
Or other body parts.
Or other body parts,
but just saying it depends on where you're speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Lynn.
My pleasure.
Okay, so now, who do you work with? Like, who are your ideal clients? People that are watching right now, who should get in touch with you?
Business professionals, entrepreneurs, and performing artists who are looking to go the next distance with what they're doing in their careers. And if you feel as though you're blocked in your career because you are meant to be doing more speaking, or you're meant to be taking more of a leadership role, and you're feeling insecure about that, then I'm the person, or I am somebody that you could call, and I could help you with that for sure. The other demographic that I work with, again, entrepreneurs, business professionals, artists, are English as second language speakers. I do this funny little thing called, I used to call it it's called accent modification, accent reduction. I call it English pronunciation now. Lots of times, people who English is their second language feel there's a barrier.
It's weird because I guess we who are native English speakers here in Canada, we don't understand how profound this is. But when we encounter someone who's got a thick accent or an accent. To whatever degree their accent is there, they could be the most educated, intelligent person, but with the accent, we just naturally we take away from that, or we don't give them the credit that they deserve. The accent, I think, just naturally we say, well, a person's got an accent. They're not as intelligent. They're not as educated.
I am so glad you brought that up first. Because I really believe there's two ways to look at this whole accent issue. If you want to call it an issue, it's not an issue for lots of people, but for those who it is, we can't expect the people who have the accent to do all the work, to come and do the training and get over their insecurities and do everything that they can possibly do to be better communicators, unless we meet them halfway. And we have to examine our prejudices.
We don't even think of it.
It's like automatic.
It's not, I'm not trying to be prejudiced, but I know, and I've noticed that, I know this because when I found out, this person has such and such a degree and they're such and such professional, and I'm going, I thought, well, I assume differently because of the accent.
Yeah, I know, and it's so fantastic that you were honest enough with yourself to acknowledge that. And my message to English-speaking Canadians is acknowledge that little automatic trigger and don't hate yourself for it. It's just an automatic thing, but get over it and, you know, just listen differently. Hey, I worked with a Roman Catholic priest who is a PhD in philosophy and lectures at U of T from Spanish. Can we talk hugely intelligent? Can we talk like this person was just hugely intelligent?
A very learned person, yes.
An incredibly learned person, and in a profession where communication is, oral communication is how he gets his message across. And he came to me because his accent was heavy. So I worked with him, and I just thought to myself, man, if I had
kind of background.
If I had just not given him the credit, I would have missed out on connecting with this awesome gentleman. I have met the most marvelous people because they're coming to me to fix their accent. And really, you know what we end up doing? Yes, I do. You put your tongue here, and this is how you make this sound, and this is the sound that this is the sound that the Canadian ear has the hardest time hearing, and you know, I help them hear all of that, and that's very helpful. But in the long run, I really believe that I am helping them with their confidence. I'm just selling confidence.
Sure, but how long does it take for someone who has a very, you know, thick accent to lose it? I mean, it must take years, or even to sound more credible.
Yeah.
If I can use that word, because as he was saying earlier, we sort of tend to put a judgment on people with accents.
I don't think they can do anything to sound more credible if they have an accent. I think that's our issue. I don't think that's their issue. If they have a heavy accent and they're coming to deal with their comprehensibility issues, then it is diligent work. It is learning a new way of speaking, and that's a very difficult thing to do. But my experience is that if people are diligent and they practice, and they are willing to step into the new rhythms that they're going to be feeling when they're speaking English, then their comprehensibility will become better. In terms of the credibility is always good. Yeah. We just have to stop thinking that their credibility is.
Now, do you work all over town, or are you located? Do you have an office?
I do. I have an office studio. I'm located in the Leslieville part of Toronto.
So that's the best part of Toronto.
It is.
That's only because he lives there.
Well, me too. My office is 2 blocks away from where I live. But for people, I have people who come from Oshawa and Thornhill, and people come from lots of different parts of the city to my studio, and I'm very easy to find because I'm just I'm just north of the lakeshore and just east of the DVP, so it's direct.
Yeah.
But I do workshops, and sometimes I do them in various parts of the city, so people can check out my website for my schedule, which is www.voicepower.ca, as it sounds.
All right, so people out there watching this right now, if they're resonating with you, and if they feel like they need some of what you're offering there, Lynn, then they can get in touch with you through the website, right?
Yes, they can.
And I think we've got one of those videos.
Oh, good.
Good.
Oh, if you go to my website, www.voicepower.ca, to my blog, the second video that is on there is this hysterical, I think it's hysterical, it's a politician who, this is a real classic, it's not what you say but how you say it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just like maybe the first...
Is it a politician we know? No, we're going to watch the whole thing. What is 3 minutes,
you're only going to watch like the first minute or so.
Why? I want to watch more than that, Lynn.
You can watch 2 minutes. I ended at 2 minutes, and then I have another one after that. You don't have to watch it, although you can, which is the hysterical clip from Singin' in the Rain. Do you remember the movie Singin' in the Rain?
Yeah.
Where the actress goes to a diction coach, and the diction coach is trying to get her to say her line. Yeah, it's the Phil Davidson one. And the diction coach is trying to get her to say her line. I can't stand it, which is appalling. And then the actress goes, I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. Oh, it's just too funny.
Okay, great.
And one Mae West quote was, it's not the men in my life, it's the life in my men.
God, love that woman.
So do I.
Okay, Lynn, thanks a lot for coming in today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me in.
And we're looking forward to this clip, and then we're going to come back with Andrea Brunswick, public speaker.
Public speaker extraordinaire.
Oh yeah, you guys know each other?
No, but no. I'm looking forward to hearing what Andrea has to say.
I forgot. Are you teaching a class
on public speaking? On any of these things?
Online anywhere?
Not online. I will be eventually.
But through that online website?
Through my online website. You can go to my schedule, and I have several classes, workshops, and I do private training as well.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Lynn. Here's the video. We're coming back with Andrea right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Starr County Republican Party Executive Committee, good evening. And thank you not only for your attendance, but for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My name is Phil Davison, and I am seeking our party's nomination for the position of Starr County Treasurer on November 10th, November of 2010, excuse me. In terms of my background, I am from the village of Minerva, where I am serving my 13th year of elected service as a Minerva Council member. In terms of education, I have a bachelor's degree in sociology, a bachelor's degree in history, a master's degree in public administration, and a master's degree in communication. In terms of elections across Starr County, I have represented our party twice on the county ballot in both the primary and the general elections. When I ran for Starr County Clerk of Courts in 1996 and Starr County Commissioner in 2000, and I will not apologize for my tone tonight. I have been a Republican in times good, and I have been a Republican in times bad. Albert Einstein issued one of my most favorite quotes in the history of the spoken word, and it is as follows. In the middle of opportunity, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. I'm going to repeat that so I have clarity tonight. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. This is the opportunity we've been